Welcome, everyone. Today, on June 13th, 2025, I want to talk about my recent experience with a trading platform called FXRoad. I have been exploring different ways to trade the markets, and this name kept popping up. So what is FXRoad? It is a broker that lets you trade something called contracts for difference, or CFDs. This means you can speculate on the price movements of different assets without actually owning them. You can trade things like currencies, such as the US dollar versus the euro. You can also trade popular cryptocurrencies, major stock indices like the S&P 500, and even commodities like gold and oil. This platform seems designed for people who are just starting out, as well as those with some experience who want a simple interface. The first thing I did was sign up. The process was surprisingly straightforward and took less time than making my morning coffee. I went to their website and found the registration button. It asked for some basic information: my name, email address, and a phone number. After filling that out, I had to create a password for my account. The entire form was simple and clean, which I appreciated. There were no confusing questions or hidden fields trying to trick you into signing up for things you do not want. It felt very transparent from the very beginning, which is always a good sign when you are dealing with a financial platform where your money will be involved. After creating my account, the next step was to make a deposit so I could start trading. FXRoad offered a few different ways to put money into the account. I saw options for using a credit card, a debit card, and even a bank wire transfer. For my first deposit, I decided to use my credit card because it is usually the fastest method. I wanted to start small, so I deposited $250. This is a key principle for me. Never invest more than you are willing to lose, especially when trying a new platform. The transaction was processed almost instantly, and the funds appeared in my trading account balance within a few minutes. The process was smooth and hassle-free. Before I even placed a single trade, I wanted to test the withdrawal process. This is a critical step many people forget. You need to know you can get your money out just as easily as you put it in. So I initiated a small withdrawal of $50 back to my credit card. The process required me to verify my identity first, which is a standard security measure. I had to upload a copy of my ID and a proof of address. Once my documents were approved, which took about a day, the withdrawal was processed. The money was back in my bank account a few days later. Knowing that the withdrawal system works gave me the confidence to proceed with actual trading. Now, let's talk about the most important thing: safety and regulation. When you are putting your hard-earned money on the line, you need to trust the platform you are using. I did some digging into FXRoad's background to understand how they operate and what protections they have in place for their users. I discovered that FXRoad is a brand name operated by a company registered in Seychelles. While this might not be the strictest regulatory environment compared to some others, it is a common jurisdiction for many international brokers. It is crucial for users to understand the regulatory framework they are operating under, as it affects the level of investor protection available to them. One of the first security features I enabled on my account was two-factor authentication, or 2FA. This is a feature I recommend everyone use on any financial app. It adds an extra layer of security to your account. With 2FA enabled, even if someone somehow gets your password, they still cannot access your account without a special code that is sent to your phone. Setting it up on FXRoad was simple. I just had to scan a QR code with an authenticator app. This small step can make a huge difference in protecting your funds from unauthorized access, giving you peace of mind that your account is secure. The platform also uses standard security technologies to protect user data and financial transactions. This includes things like SSL encryption, which is the same technology used by banks and major e-commerce sites to secure your connection. It means that any information you send, like your personal details or card information, is scrambled and cannot be easily intercepted by hackers. While these features are expected from any modern financial platform, it was reassuring to see them implemented correctly on FXRoad. Security should never be an afterthought, and it seems like the platform takes its responsibilities in this area seriously. However, it is important to be realistic. The level of regulation in jurisdictions like Seychelles is different from what you might find with brokers regulated in the UK or Australia. This means that while FXRoad provides its own safety measures, the overarching regulatory protection might be less comprehensive. For example, there might not be a government-backed compensation scheme if the broker fails. This is a risk that every trader needs to be aware of and comfortable with before they decide to deposit funds. It reinforces the importance of starting small and only trading with money that you can genuinely afford to lose. With my account funded and secured, it was time to dive into the platform and place some trades. The user interface was clean and felt intuitive, which is a big plus for beginners. I could easily find the different markets available. FXRoad offers a good variety of assets. I saw major currency pairs like EUR, USD, popular cryptocurrencies including Bitcoin and Ethereum, and even some stock indices and commodities like gold. This variety is great because it allows you to diversify your trading strategies across different markets without needing multiple accounts on different platforms. For my first trade, I decided to stick with what I know best: currencies. My first major trade was on the USD-JPY pair. I noticed a strong trend forming and decided to open a position. The trade execution was very fast. I clicked the button to buy, and the trade was opened almost instantly at the price I saw on the screen. There was very little slippage, which is when the price you get is different from the price you clicked. Fast execution is critical in trading, especially in volatile markets, so this was a positive experience. Over the next few hours, the trade moved in my favor, and I managed to close it for a small profit of around $30. It was not a huge win, but it was a great way to confirm that the platform works as expected. Of course, not every trade was a winner. Trading always involves risks, and I had my share of losses too. I tried trading oil based on some news, but the market moved against me, and I had to close the position for a loss of about $20 to prevent further damage. This is a crucial lesson in trading. You must have a risk management plan. Using stop-loss orders is a good way to automatically limit your potential losses on any single trade. Throughout my experience, my net result after a week of light trading was a modest gain of about $55. The wins were small and the losses were controlled, which is exactly how you should approach trading as a beginner. One area that could be better is the fees. Like most brokers, FXRoad makes money from the spread, which is the small difference between the buying and selling price of an asset. For major currency pairs, the spreads seemed competitive. However, for some of the more exotic cryptocurrencies, the spreads were a bit wider than I would have liked. This means it costs a little more to enter and exit those trades. It is not a deal breaker, but it is something to be aware of. You should always check the spreads for the specific assets you plan to trade before you jump in, so you can factor those costs into your strategy. So, after spending some time on the platform, what is my final verdict on FXRoad? I believe it has several clear advantages, especially for new traders. The sign-up process is incredibly simple and fast, which lowers the barrier to entry. The platform itself is easy to navigate, so you will not feel overwhelmed by complicated charts and tools right away. The ability to start with a relatively small deposit is also a huge plus, as it allows you to test the waters without risking a large amount of capital. Customer service was responsive when I tested them with a few questions, which is always reassuring when you are starting out. However, there are also some disadvantages to consider. The primary concern is the regulatory environment. Because it is registered offshore, it does not offer the same level of investor protection as brokers in more strictly regulated regions. This is a significant factor that potential users must weigh carefully. Additionally, while the spreads on major markets are reasonable, they can be higher on less common assets. This could eat into the profits of traders who focus on those niche markets. Finally, the educational resources are a bit basic, so you will likely need to look elsewhere to build a deep understanding of trading strategies. For anyone considering FXRoad, I have some practical tips. First, always start small. Deposit only a small amount of money that you are fully prepared to lose. Second, test the withdrawal process early on, just as I did. This will give you confidence that you can access your funds when you need to. Third, take the time to read the terms and conditions. I know it is boring, but it is important to understand the rules of the platform you are using. And finally, keep detailed records of all your trades. This will help you learn from both your wins and your losses and become a better trader over time. In conclusion, I would recommend FXRoad to new traders who are looking for a simple and accessible platform to get started, but with a very strong warning. You must approach it with extreme caution. Trading CFDs is inherently risky, and it is possible to lose all of your invested capital. Use risk management tools like stop-loss orders on every single trade. Never, ever trade with money you cannot afford to lose, such as your rent money or emergency savings. If you are careful, disciplined, and willing to learn, FXRoad can be a decent entry point into the world of trading. But always remember to protect your capital first.